Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Prostrations to Ramana, who shines as the Self in all beings. We begin today's satsang with a prayer by Srimati Sapna Ganesh. This will be followed by the chanting of Muktaka trayam.
Dakshinamurti Sarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Ramanacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam Vande Guru Paramparam Shuklam Bharadharam Vishnum Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam Prasannavadanam Dhyayet Sarva Vignopashantaye Angikam Bhuvanam Yasya Vachikam Sarvavangmayam Aharyam Chandrataradi Tam Namah Satvikam Shivam Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana to everyone.
Namo Ramana. Ekamaksharam Hridi Nirantaram Bhasate Swayam Likhyate Katham Hridaya Kuhara Madhye Kevalam Brahmamatram Hyahamaham sakshat Atmarupena bhati Hridi vishamanasa Swam chinvata majjatava Pavana chalana rodhat Atmanishto bhavatvam Deham vrinmaya vajjadatmakam Aham buddhirna tasyastyato Naham tattada-bhava-shukti samaye Siddhatma-sadbhavataha Koham bhavayutah kuto varadhiya Drishtvatmanishtatmana Soham spurtitaya Arunachala Shivaha Purno Vibhati Swayam Soham spurtitaya Arunachala Shivaha Purno Vibhati Swayam. Namo Ramana. We will now have the chanting of Upadesa Saram by Kumari Uma Shripati.
Namo Ramana. Vayurodhanaad लीयते मना जालपक्षिवद्रोदसादनम् चित्तवायवश्चित्क्रियायुताः शाखयोर्द्वयी शक्तिमूलका लयविनाशने उभयरोदने लयगतं पुनर्भवति नोऽमृतम् प्राणबन्धनात् लीनमानसम् एकचिन्तना नाशमेत्यद नष्टमानसो उत्कृष्टयोगिना कृत्यमस्ति किं स्वस्तितिं यथा दृश्यवारितं चित्तमात्मना चित्वदर्शनं तत्त्वदर्शनं मानसं तु किं मार्गणे कृते नैव मानसं मार्ग आर्जवात् वृत्तयस्त्वहं वृत्तिमाश्रिताः वृत्तयो मनो विद्यहं मनः अहमयं कुतो भवति चिन्वत अयि पतत्यहं निजविचारणम् अहमिनाशभाज्यहमहन्तया स्फुरतिरत् स्वयं परमपूर्णसत्। नमो रमण।
Namo Ramana. We will be having 3 songs from Ramananjali Sangeetam. Today being the birthday of Srimati Sulochana Natarajan, the music director of Ramana Maharshi Center for Learning. We offer this offering at the feet of Bhagavan, remembering her. 3 songs from Ramana Sangeetam. The first one will be presented by Srimati V. Radha. The second one will be presented by Savitri Krishnan and Jaisriram Krishnan. And the third song will be presented by Revathi Sankar.
Namo Ramana to all. As Revathi said, our beloved Mami, Srimati Sulochana Natarajan, it's birthday. So I have planned to take a song composed by her. It's in Ragam Kamboji, set to Aditalam. In this song, the speciality is that the starting word is Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramanaya. That's how for each line it comes. This was a speciality song composed by Mami, and our prostrations to our respected Mami. ஓங்காரனுக்கு என்று நேசமுடன் கன்று விட்டேன் நமோ ரமணாய வென்ற நலமுடனே காலனைத்து ஓங்காரனுக்கு என்று நேசமுடன் கன்று விட்டேன் நமோ ரமணாய வென்று நலமுடனே காலனைத்து மோத ஸ்வரூபனுக்கென்று மகிழ்வுடனே மடியலம்பி பகவானே நமவென்று நமஸ்கரித்து கரந்து வைத்து கணபதியின் அனுஜனுக்கென்று மட்டான தீயில் காய்ச்சி வடிவழகனுக்கு வென்ற பதமாக பீரையிட்டு தேஜோமயனுக்கென்று உரியதனை ஏற்றி வைத்து ஸ்ரீகரன கூகற்பாக 12 அக்ஷரமும் பாடி ரமணாய நமவென்று சிராப்தியை போல் கடைந்து மதிக்களற்று போக்கும் அவனுக்கு இதயத்தை ஒன்றி வைத்து நாகாரன் பதம் தன்னில் பக்தி என்னும் வெண்ணை அன்னை யதிபரனுக்காமோதமாய் சமர்ப்பணம் செய்வோமே. யதிபரனுக்காமோதமாய் சமர்ப்பணம் செய்வோமே. யதிபரனுக்காமோதமாய் சமர்ப்பணம் செய்வோமே.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Today being the birth star of Bhagavan, that is Punarvasu, and also the birthday of Sulochana Mami, the founder director of music for RMCL. We present a song so mellifluously rendered by her, as though she is the star Punarvasu from our ballet Ramananjali.
புனர்வசு என்னும் மொழி மகளே, விண்ணில் பொருந்தி எம்மை போல் திகழ்பவளே. புனர்வசு என்னும் மொழி மகளே, விண்ணில் பொருந்தி எம்மை போல் திகழ்பவளே. என்றும் இல்லாமல் இன்று மட்டுமே இத்தனை மகிழ்ச்சி கண்களிலே. என்றும் இல்லாமல் இன்று மட்டுமே இத்தனை மகிழ்ச்சி கண்களிலே. புனர்வசு என்னும் மொழி மகளே, விண்ணில் பொருந்தி எம்மை போல் திகழ்பவளே. புனர்வசு என்னும் மொழி மகளே, விண்ணில் பொருந்தி எம்மை போல் திகழ்பவளே. அமைப்பில் நான் ஒரு விண்மீனே, நாம் அனைவரும் தாரகை இனம்தானே. ஆயினும் எனக்கொரு மகிழ் உண்டு, தெய்வ அருளை அடைந்த புகழ் உண்டு. ஆயினும் எனக்கொரு மகிழ் உண்டு, தெய்வ அருளை அடைந்த புகழ் உண்டு. புனர்வசு என்னும் மொழி மகளே, விண்ணில் பொருந்தி எம்மை போல் திகழ்பவளே. புனர்வசு என்னும் மொழி மகளே, விண்ணில் எம்மை போல் பொருந்தி எம்மை போல் திகழ்பவளே. பற்பல ஆண்டு முன் கோசலை மடியில் ராமனின் அவதாரம். அன்று பார் முழுதும் நான் ஆண்டு கொண்டிருந்தேன், அது என் சிறப்பாகும். பற்பல ஆண்டு முன் கோசலை மடியில் ராமனின் அவதாரம். அன்று பார் முழுதும் நான் ஆண்டு கொண்டிருந்தேன், அது என் சிறப்பாகும். இன்றும் அருளிடை அழகம் மயிடம் ரமண அவதாரம். இந்த இன்ப நாளையும் நானே ஆழ்கிறேன், இது என் மகிழ்வாகும். இன்றும் அருளிடை அழகம் மயிடம் ரமண அவதாரம். இந்த இன்ப நாளையும் நானே ஆழ்கிறேன், இது என் மகிழ்வாகும். மலையாய் ஒளியாய் திகழ் அருணாச்சல மனிதன் ஆகின்றான். மலையாய் ஒளியாய் திகழ் அருணாச்சல மனிதன் ஆகின்றான். எழில் மங்கையரே அங்கு பாருங்கள், ரமணர் உருவம் பெறுகின்றார். எழில் மங்கையரே அங்கு பாருங்கள், ரமணர் உருவம் பெறுகின்றார் உலகில் வருகின்றார்.
ஓம் நமோ
ஓம்
பகவதே
நமோ
ஸ்ரீ
பகவதே ஸ்ரீ ரமணாய.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Sulochanama was the one who has put all the songs, many songs of Ramana's songs written on Ramana and by Ramana into music format. We have more than 2000 songs in Ramananjali Sangeetam. So I would like to present a song written by Ganapati Muni because it's the month of November when Ganapati Muni came to Bhagavan and got his Upadesham, which was the first spoken Upadesham. Ganapati Muni asked, "What is tapas? Although I have done so many crores of japa, I have read all the Shastras, all the Puranas, I have not attained peace. What should I do, O Brahmana Swami?" This boy of 16 was called as Brahmana Swami then. So Bhagavan said, "Get back to the source where the mantra rises and get back to that. Find the source of the mantra and get back to it. Find the source where all thoughts arises and get back to that source. That is tapas," said Bhagavan. That said Brahmana Swami. And that was when Ganapati Muni said, "This is not an ordinary boy. This is not ordinary Swami. He is Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi. Ramana, the sweet one. Let the whole world call him as Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi." This was what Ganapati Muni gave the name Ramana to our sweet Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi. And Ganapati Muni composed many poems on Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi. One of it is Ramanacentre, which is sung every day in Ramanashramam. And I would like to take the first verse of Ramanacentre, for which the music has been composed by Srimati Sulochana Natarajan. I have heard Mami say that during the composition of Ramanacentre, she could feel the presence of Bhagavan and Ganapati Muni in the studio where they were recording this particular poem, Ramanacentre. So Nandakumarji always says Ramana's presence will be there where devotees are talking about him. Likewise, today Mami's presence will be there. Sulochana Ma's presence will be there. Ganapati Muni's presence will be here. And we can feel Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi's presence also. In this song he says, by just looking at Bhagavan, all our sorrows go away. Truly he will destroy all our sorrows. Any kind of sorrow he destroys. He is the compassionate one. And he is the one who stays in Arunachala. He was the one who came as the Khagavahana and gave Upadesha to many of us, many of them. He is the one who gave Upadesha to the sons of Brahma, Sanaka, Sanandana, Sanat Kumara, Sanat Sujata, in the form of silence. The whole gamut of jnana, the self-knowledge, was given to these sadhakas in silence by Dakshinamurti. Bhagavan Ramana gives us that knowledge, that silence, that peace, just by his glance. And by his glance, We get back to the source through the enquiry of the self, inquiring into the self. Who am I? We get back to the source and attain that state which Bhagavan Ramana has attained. Presenting to you Ramanachatvarimshat, a few verses from Ramanachatvarimshat. Vande Shri Ramanarshi रमणेन सनाथमिदं भुवनम् गुरवे तारकारये नमः वन्दे श्री रमणर्षे वन्दे श्रीरमणर्षे आचार्यस्य पदाब्जं वन्दे श्रीरमणर्षे आचार्यस्य पदाब्जं यो मे दर्शयदीशं भान्तं द्वान्तमतीत्य यो मे दर्शयदीशं भान्तम् द्वान्तमतीत्य रमणेन सनाथमिदं भुवनं रमणेन सनाथमिदं भुवनं रमणेन सनाथमिदं भुवनं रमणेन सनाथमिदं भुवनं कथयानि जया कलुषं हरत करुणानिधिनारुणशैलजुषा कथयानि जया कलुषं हरत करुणानिधिनारुणशैलजुषा खगवाहन भाषित तत्त्वविदा वृषवाहन मौनरहस्यभृता खगवाहन भाषित तत्त्वविदा वृषवाहन मौनरहस्यभृता रमणेन सनाथमिदं भुवनं रमणेन सनाथमिदं भुवनं गणरान्मुखसूरिसभा गुरुणा गुणसञ्चय रत्नमहोदधिना गणरान्मुखसूरिसभा गुरुणा गुणसञ्चय रत्नमहोदधिना घनगूढसहस्र करेण यथा तनुकञ्चुकगुप्तमहा महसा घनगूढसहस्र करेण यथा तनुकञ्चुकगुप्तमहा महसा रमणेन सनाथमिदं भुवनं रमणेन सनाथमिदं भुवनं रमणेन सनाथमिदं भुवनं रमणेन सनाथमिदं भुवनं Namo Ramana. We will now have The reading and sharing from the book Ramana's Muruganar. This will be done by Sri Nandakumarji.
Namo Ramana. In this, the book reading segment of our satsang, we continue to read from the work Ramana's Muruganar, a birth centenary offering, edited and compiled by our founder president, Sri A.R. Natarajanji. We have begun with the account of Kanakammal, one who was an ardent devotee of Bhagavan and an ardent student of Muruganar Swamigal. Appropriately, Mama, our founder president, has selected this 40-45 page article from Kanakammal as the first article in the collection. We have seen Kanakammal narrate the meeting of the Guru and the disciple and how there is this pull of Bhagavan on Muruganar, and how after his Amma's passing away, he comes over for his permanent stay, and how he takes up begging as his way of sustenance. We finished off with his life at near the lake, where he would have kept the food, which would most of the times be eaten away by the monkeys, and that is the predicament we had finished with. So let us just touch upon it and then start Muruganar's Palakottu days. Noticing this predicament of Muruganar, bringing the Bhiksha just to be eaten away by the monkeys, noting this predicament of Muruganar, Sabhapati Pillai, the priest of the Ganesha temple there, invited Muruganar to stay with him and persuaded him to do so. Palakottu days. When Muruganar was staying at Palakottu, Kunju Swami, Vishwanatha Swami, and Ramanatha Brahmachari were also residing there. Since all were devotees of Bhagavan, that place, Palakottu, acquired a special sanctity. Kunju Swami says it is difficult to forget those golden days. Devotees of Bhagavan attach top priority to self-enquiry. The next in order of importance is the circumambulation of Arunachala, Giri Pradakshina. Its efficacy for spiritual evolution is within the knowledge of all. Keeping this in mind, once Muruganar completed the circuit for 48 days continuously, that is called as Mandalam, one Mandalam, 48 days of one Giri Pradakshina a day. Muruganar has mentioned that on such circumambulations, he would not have any consciousness of the body between Niruti Lingam and Adiyannamalai. Later years, throughout his span of 83 years, Muruganar was truly detached internally. What about his poetry? Though he would sometimes refer to it in his poems as the only surviving attachment, it was not really so. It flowed naturally like a perennial river. It had an eternal source, the Supreme Ramana, and it therefore flowed in torrential beauty. How beautifully the compiler and Kanakammal have mentioned from where Muruganar's songs have come. They have not come from attachment of the ego. The ego has perished in the merger with Bhagavan, and Bhagavan is the only source of all those poems. It had an eternal source, the Supreme Ramana, and it therefore flowed in torrential beauty. Even in the later years, when he was unable to write down the bubbling flow, he would request others to put it down. There are therefore more than 30,000 poems composed by him. Muruganar's poetry can be classified in a threefold way: praise, scripture, and experience. Muruganar's poetry can be classified in a threefold way: praise, scripture and experience. Ramana Sannidhi Murai, Ramana Deva Malai, Ramana Sharana Pallandu, Ramana Anubhuti fall in the category of praise. The light on the Supreme called Guru Vachaka Kovai is the scripture for the Ramana way. Ramana Jnana Bodham, comprising of over 14,000 verses, is based on his experience of self-abidance, the Anubhava of Muruganar. One can readily see what will happen when one exposes himself fully to the grace of Ramana. It is only because of his humility that this poetic genius and self-realized person moved as one among us. We see great people refer to their worldly service as a dosha, but it is really not that. It is only for our sake that they call it as I have this dosha of this bhakti or that, but then they clearly are in the one source of all. It's only for our reference they say I have this Vaidika bhakti dosha, I have the dosha of Tamil Padru and all that. Really, the ego is not the source anymore for them. There was once an occasion when an ignorant devotee spoke disparagingly about Muruganar. There was once an occasion when an ignorant devotee spoke disparagingly about Muruganar. Ramana was quick to remark, when Sannidhi Murai and Guru Vachaka Kovai were written, Muruganar became one of the foremost knowers of truth. When Sannidhi Murai and Guru Vachaka Kovai were written, Muruganar became one of the foremost knowers of truth. How can these remarks make any difference to his state? It's the rarest of rare interventions by Bhagavan. When somebody talks ill of his devotee who is in realization, Bhagavan says, of what avail are these words? They can't touch the state of Muruganar in any way. This incident was told to me, to Kanakamat, by Swami Natanananda, who was present at that time. So it was a direct account given by Swami Natanananda that Bhagavan corrected the impression that that person was trying to make by saying all these words are of no avail. Muruganar had already become one of the foremost knowers of truth once he had authored Ramana Sannidhi Murai Guru Vachaka Kovai. After the Mahanirvana of Bhagavan, at the request of a devotee, Dr. T.N. Krishnaswamy, Muruganar stayed in his house at Tiruvannamalai. It is situated opposite the ashram. It was in those days that Padma and I had the opportunity of serving Sri Muruganar. This is how Kanakamal became very close to Muruganar and learned from him. He taught us both the meaning of he taught us both, Padma and herself, the meaning of all the works of Bhagavan. In 1958, Padma left for Madras. By Bhagavan's grace, I am staying near Ramanashram even now when she is writing, which is around let us say 1990. Thereafter, Muruganar taught me several Vedantic texts like Odival, Odukkam, and guided me in my spiritual evolution. From 1971, the health of Muruganar started deteriorating. At the request of the management of Sri Ramanashramam, Muruganar became an inmate of the ashram and occupied the room number A18. Every medical and physical need of his was attended to with loving care by the ashram management and in particular by Ganesh of the mountain path. However, in spite of the best medical attention, his health continued to take a turn for the worse. On Tuesday, the 28th of August 1973, Muruganar attained Mahasamadhi. It was on the new moon day of the Tamil month Avani. A special Samadhi was prepared to the north of the ashram at the slope of Arunachala. His body was interred there in accordance with particular rites prescribed for those who are liberated. Special worship is being arranged here every year on the anniversary of this Mahanirvana Day. This matchless poet was undoubtedly among the foremost of disciples and devotees of Ramana because of his total devotion and surrender to him. I'll read that part again. Special worship is being arranged here every year on the anniversary of this day. This matchless poet was undoubtedly amongst the foremost of the disciples and devotees of Ramana because of his total devotion and surrender to him. Amma, Sulochanamma and Akka would narrate how, as children, Ambika Akka and Sharada Akka would be taken to the room where Muruganar was there. He was staying in the ashram. It must be the room A18. And it appears he had asked them, can you sing one of the songs of Bhagavan? And that very day they were trained and they sang, and Akka would always say that even when the Ramana Nama is being taken, it would appear as though his body is boneless and has melted and tears would be flowing. This Paramajnani would show that jnana completely includes the Bhakti Nilay. The Purna Jnani is also the Purna Bhakta. And it would be like honey to our ears when Akka and Amma would narrate these events, these personal experiences, especially when Akka says that she would ask Muruganar, is my practicing of self-enquiry, holding Bhagavan as Guru, is that enough? And Muruganar would say, with lot of feeling and the fullness of strength, he would say, 100%, more than 100% enough, or something like that. I am only paraphrasing, I can hardly equal when Akka narrates these events. So on this day of remembering Sulochana Mami, on her birthday, it is Punarvasu Day also. We have the blessed ones who are reading the writings on Muruganar Swamigal by Kanakamad. We will continue the book reading in the coming weeks with Bhagavan's grace. Om Namo Bhagavate Shri Ramana. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. Continue this satsang with the enquiry session, self-enquiry session, which will be led by Shri Dileep Simha.
Namo Ramana. Dhyayet Sharada Chandra Sundaramukam Tamrada Vindekshanam Bhaktabhishtavarabhaya Pradakaram Kaupinamathrujvalam Svatmanandarasānubhūti vivasham Sarvanavadyangakam Shrimantam Shri Ramaneshwaram Guruvaram Yogasanadhyasitam ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरम् ध्यायेत् श्रीरमणेश्वरम् हृदयकुहरमध्ये केवलं ब्रह्ममात्रम् यहमहमिति साक्षादात्मरूपेण भाति हृदि विषमनसा स्वं चिन्वतामच्युतव पवनचलनरोधात् आत्मनिष्ठो भवत्वम्. Namo Ramana. We'll commence the Atma Vichara by meditating and listening to Bhagavan's Upadesham. And I will be reading his Upadesham from the book Guru Vachaka Kovai, from the chapter Experience of the Truth. And the topic is having done all that needs to be done. Verse number 945. Whatever experiences are gained by whatever beings from whatever objects in whatever places, if they are inquired into, they, that means the experiences, will all be known to be really fractions of the experience of the self. I repeat, whatever experiences are gained by whatever beings from whatever objects in whatever places, if they are inquired into, they, the experiences, will all be known to be really fractions of the experience of the self. In here, as beings, as what do we do is try to bring the infinite into a limited experience as an individuals. This we can see very well explained in Natya Shastra, wherein it is said, Yato hasta tato drishti, yato drishti, tato manaha, tato bhavo, tato rasa. The rasa, the fullness, is experienced only when all the bhava, when we go outwardly, in whichever way we go as per this verse, when all that bhava in which we go out and the mind in line with that bhava, then the senses in line with that mind, and then the anga or the body and all the objects, when they get aligned, then the fullness is experienced, the rasa is experienced. But all those rasas, if you look at Natya Shastra, there are Navarasas that are being expressed. And all those rasas we can express in this way. But all of that is a part of the Atma Rasa. It's only a partial of the Atma Rasa, says Bhagavan here. Therefore, since only those rasas we can experience going outwardly as any being, whether it is a being as a human or being as animals or plants or whatever which way, and whichever world we may be, and whichever objects in those world we may be trying to experience, Bhagavan is saying all of that is always going to be a limited experience and never the experience of the fullness of the self. This is a very important recognition to see what? Having done all that needs to be done. That means whatever we may do outwardly in whichever place, in whichever plane, in whichever form, in whichever time, it will always be a limited experience. And therefore, the fullness of the experience, it will come only when we remain in the self-abidance. Bhagavan calls it as bhava shunya sadbhava sustiti. When the bhava is no more there to go outward in any which way to experience in any limited way, when that bhava becomes shunya, becomes zero, because there is a clear understanding that in whichever bhava we may gush out, it will all be a limited experience. And that very recognition, and therefore becoming bhava shunya and remaining in that sadbhava, the real bhava, the true nature, bhava shunya nature, that niralamba sthiti of ours, of the self, in that state, the fullness of the self is experienced, and that is called the Shanta Rasa, the rasa of silence. And that is the fullness of experience, says Bhagavan here. So, with the abundant grace of Bhagavan, with which alone we have come to this most direct path, which reveals the limitations in the outward way, and at the same times gives us the opportunity to experience the fullness as it is available. So there is every moment an opportunity to experience the fullness or the opportunity to experience the limited. The choice, what we make, makes us feel the limitation or the unlimited. When a thought is attended to, no matter what kind of a thought it is, whether it's a good thought, a bad thought, a knowledgeable thought, a stupid thought, a spiritual thought, in whichever way we hold on a thought and then experience it, then we are always going to experience a limited thing, says Bhagavan. But at the same time, the thought also gives us an opportunity to inquire, to whom is this? Who am I? By to whom is this? The answer will be I. What do I really refer to as I? What is the source of I? When we see that, as Bhagavan had explained beautifully yesterday, that it is the Brahman which is experienced as I. So that I am is the real what is Brahman. So here we can see that I am, which is the unaltered truth. We can turn the attention, which is the substratum of everything, which is the one which makes everything known. By inquiring who am I, we can turn away from the thought, the I which was attending to the thought, to the I abiding in the self as I am. And that way we can experience the Shanta Rasa as opposed to many other rasas we may experience turning outwardly, which will all be a part, never the fullness, says Bhagavan. With his abundant grace, for the next 10 minutes, let us practice Atma Vichara. Namo Bhagavate Ramanaya. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana. We will now have the sharing of verses from Anma Bodham by Sri Venkatesh Deshpande ji.
Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviram Karvavahai Tejasvinam Vaditamastu Mam Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Jnanamulam Gurur Murtihi, Pujamulam Gurur Padam, Mantramulam Vakyam, Mokshamulam Guru Kripaha, Mokshamulam Guru Kripaha. Namo Ramana. We're doing Manana on Atma Bodha, and last satsang we had touched upon verse number 24. We'll do a small recap on that. As luminosity is the nature of the sun, coolness of water, and heat of fire, so existence, knowledge, bliss, eternity, and purity are the nature of the Atman. As luminosity is the nature of the sun, coolness of water, and heat of fire, so existence, knowledge, bliss, eternity, and purity are the nature of the Atman. The word Swabhava means one's essential nature. The essential nature of the sun is luminosity. The sun cannot exist without light. So also the nature of the water is coolness, that of fire is heat. Similarly, the nature of the Atman is described as existence, knowledge, bliss, Satchidananda, eternal, Nitya, and pure, Nirmala. Satchidananda describes the Atman in terms of his manifestation through the equipments of the gross, subtle, and causal bodies. Through the gross body, the Atman expresses itself as mere existence, through the subtle body as intelligence, the Chit, and through the causal body as bliss. The second word was Nitya. Nitya means eternal, which indicates that the Atman was existing from the infinite past, is existing at present, and will exist in the infinite future. Nirmala means it's not dirty. Mala means dirt. A substance is said to be dirty if there exists in it something other than it. The Atman is all pervading. There exists nothing other than it to pollute it. It is therefore ever pure. Mala or dirt may also refer to the vasanas, in which case Nirmala would mean without vasanas. Atman is the spiritual core of an individual, which lies beyond the bliss sheath, Anandamaya Kosha, consisting of Vasana. Today we'll do Manana on verse number 25. And I request Sapna to kindly chant the verse, please.
Yes, sir. Atmana Satchidamshascha Bhudaivrrutti iti dvayam Samyojya cha vivekena Janami iti pravartate. Atmana Satchidamshascha Bhudaivrrutti iti dvayam Samyojya cha vivekena Janami iti pravartate. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sapna. By the indiscriminate union of the two, namely existence intelligent aspect of the self, by the indiscriminate union of the two, namely existence intelligence aspect of the self, and the function of the intellect, there arises the notion of I know. Man's essential nature is pure consciousness. When the pure consciousness functions through the gross body, it manifests as the waker who experiences the waking world. The same consciousness, withdrawing itself from the gross body and functioning through the subtle body, manifests as the dreamer who experiences the dream world. Withdrawing from the gross and subtle bodies and functioning through the causal body, consciousness expresses itself as the deep sleeper. The combination of these three, namely the waker, dreamer, and sleeper, is the individual. The knowledge of an object is gained by the experience I know. This experience is produced when a thought is enlivened by the consciousness. A thought by itself is inert and insentient. Consciousness is the knowing principle, pure and absolute. It is the subject knowing and not an object of knowledge. When, however, pure consciousness is in contact with a thought, the thought-conditioned consciousness creates the concept I know. The knower of the thoughts created by the knowing principle functioning through thoughts is man. So I'll read this again. It's very, very beautifully written. The knowledge of an object is gained by the experience I know. This experience is produced when a thought is enlivened by the consciousness. A thought itself is inert and insentient. Consciousness is the knowing principle, pure and absolute. It is the subject knowing, and not an object of knowledge. When, however, pure consciousness is in contact with a thought, the thought-conditioned consciousness creates the concept I know. The knower of the thoughts created by the knowing principle functioning through thoughts is man. Compare this to the phenomena of perception. An object is perceptible only when it is illumined. An object itself is not perceptible as it is evidenced in darkness. Pure light is also imperceptible. When light strikes an object, it gets reflected, and the object conditioned light is that which is perceptible. Perception, therefore, is the light plus the object. Likewise, knowledge is consciousness plus thought. You, being the knower of the thoughts, are a product of the union of pure consciousness with thoughts. Thoughts cause your individualization and consequent limitation. The way to regain your original divine nature is therefore to follow all means of transcending the thoughts. Though consciousness is said to combine with thoughts to create an individuality, no such union is ever possible. This is a very important aspect. Though consciousness is said to combine with thoughts to create an individuality, no such union is ever possible, since they are incompatible entities. Consciousness is spirit and thought are matter. They are like light and darkness, which can never combine. Still, the ignorant are deluded to believe and perceive an individualized existence. This idea is taken up in the next verse. So what is beautifully being said is, because of the veiling power, because of the covering that's happening, because of the mind, the question of I know that comes up. One says, but actually the consciousness is extremely pure. It's like saying the Ganga. If you throw all sorts of dirt in the Ganga, what happens? People say, oh, Ganga has become impure. Ganga can never become impure. Ganga is always pure. Why? At a core level, Ganga is pure. She's divine. So that's something we need to know and believe in. So once we do that, then what happens? It says, you being the knower of thoughts are product of the union of pure consciousness with thoughts. And so when you inquire into what do you inquire into? You inquire into the thoughts, which is the passing, which is the unreal, which is insentient. So that is not nitya, that's anitya. So what is nitya? Is the consciousness behind is actually the nitya. So Bhagavan says that important thing, that's why when you inquire, you are always inquiring into the unreal, and keep inquiring into unreal, what will be left is the real. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana.
Namo Ramana.
Thanks, Reva.
We will now have the sharing of Ramanacentre by Sri Ujwal Jagadeesh. Verses from Ramanacentre.
Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. We have been meditating on the verses of Ramanacentre written by Ganapati Muni and which have been compiled by Bhagavan Ramana himself. And the music for these songs written by Ganapati Muni is by Srimati Sulochana Natarajan, who we are remembering on her birthday. न करुणा गुणस्तव विदाम्पते हृदय तेजस सहज वैवते तव तनुर्ज्वल त्यनग विद्युत तव दृगातता लसति भास्वता कबलितं मन स्तव विभो हृदि त्वमसि सन्ततं विलसितो मुदा भुवन भूपतेर्भगवत कृते भवसि पाचको यमवतां पते नरपशूनिमानहमिताडयन् परशिवौदनं वितनुषे पचन् करुणे गुणवल्ला ನಿನಗೆ ಒಡೆಯನೆ ಹೃದಯದಿ ಹೊಳೆಯುವ ಸಹಜ ಸ್ವರೂಪವೇ ನಿನ್ನಮಲ ದೇಹವು ಮಿಂಚಂತೆ ಹೊಳೆವುದು ನಿನ್ನನಂತ ನೋಟವು ರವಿಯಂತೆ ಮಿರುಗುವುದು ಪ್ರಭುವೆ ನಿನ್ನಯ ಮನವ ಹೃದಯ ನುಂಗಿತು ಆನಂದದಿ ಹೊಳೆಯುತ ನೀನಿರುವೆ ಎಂದಿಗೂ ಭುವನದೊಡೆಯನಾದ ಭಗವಂತ ಸೃಜಿಸಿದ ಪಾಚಕ ನೀನೇ ಸಂಯಮದ ಅರಸನೇ ಮನುಜ ಪ್ರಾಣಿಯ ಅಹಂಕಾರ ಕಡಿದು ಪರಶಿವಗೆ ಭೋಜನ ನೀ ಸಿದ್ಧಪಡಿಸುವೆ. ಮನುಜ ಪ್ರಾಣಿಯ ಅಹಂಕಾರವ ಕಡಿದು ಪರ ಶಿವಗೆ ಭೋಜನ ನೀ ಸಿದ್ಧಪಡಿಸುವೆ. ಕರುಣೆ ಗುಣವಲ್ಲ ರಮಣ ನಿನಗೆ ಒಡೆಯನೇ ರಮಣ, ಹೃದಯದಿ ಹೊಳೆಯುವ ರಮಣ ಸಹಜ ಸ್ವರೂಪವೇ. Ganapati Muni sings of Ramana, saying that, "Oh Ramana, compassion is not a quality for you. It is not a guna, that an attribute to you, but compassion is your own true nature. And that true nature is ever shining in your heart." As an answer to this, Ramana says, the truth is that the compassion alone exists. Arul ondre irukku oi. What exists only is Arul, the grace alone, and nothing else exists. But Ramana reminds us something comes in between this grace and obstructs the grace, and that is the ego. And Ramana, here Ganapati Muni says, Ramana is a cook, a great cook, who has come to cut this ego which is coming in between the ever-flowing grace, and he is making that ego prepared so that it is ready to be consumed by the Supreme Shiva. Ramana himself is the one who is shining in the heart as a true compassion. So Shiva is not different from Ramana. Ramana is not different from Shiva. And both of them are the power which is shining within us, the heart. And Ramana has come into our lives to make us ready to be accepted by the divine. But Ramana is so compassionate, he is so loving that he understands that we require this body to be taken care, so that this body is ready to do the sadhana, so that it can turn within and then it can be ready to be consumed by the Supreme within. So Ramana takes care of all the bodily needs. In one of the sweet instances, I do not remember the name of the devotee, but a devotee had come to Ramana's ashram early in the morning, and he had to leave soon. He could not stay back till the prasadam was prepared and served. So he had to go early in the morning, maybe at 5 o'clock. He had come from far to have darshan of Ramana, and after he had darshan of Ramana, he asked Ramana that he would take leave. But Ramana told, "Oh, you are going without taking part of the prasadam. Come with me." So Ramana took him to the kitchen. At that time, not many devotees were there at that point of time. So he had the privilege of following him to the kitchen. And there in the kitchen, Ramana opened one box full of badam, the almonds. And he took that and put it into a vessel. And he put that on the stove, and he slowly started frying it with little ghee. And once it was ready, then he put that into a paper packet. Then he gave it to that devotee and told, "You are going to your house and you have little children in your house, and I'm sure they are going to ask, what did Ramana Tata give us? What is the prasadam you brought from Ramana Tata's ashram?" They're going to ask, and you give them. This is the prasadam. You also have little bit on the way, and you take this as the prasadam to the house. And the devotees was completely, he melted in that love of Ramana, that Ramana knew that devotees are waiting there and they have their little desires. And Ramana is so compassionate that he takes care of all these little desires, and he takes care of our bodily needs. The Ramana Sangeeta Vagyakara Manavasi Ramaswamy Iyer, who he had visited Ramana and he was suffering from a strange disease called dyspepsia. And because of that disease, stomach disease, he could not even have simple food. Even if we had some little rasam sadam, little spicy, then he would have stomach upset and he could not sleep that whole night. So he was suffering from this ailment for a long time. And then he came to Ramana and he completely surrendered to Ramana and told, "Oh Bhagavan, I have come to you. You need to save me from this disease. You need to save me." And Ramana smiled at Manavasi Ramaswamy Iyer and told, "I am not a doctor, neither am I a Jyotishi. Why have you come to me?" Manavasi Ramaswamy Iyer told, "Bhagavan, you are a Vaidya, Bhavaroga Bishagvaraya Namaha. You are the great Bishak, the great doctor who can cure this roga called Bhavarogam. When that is the case, this little disease of mine is only Trinamatram. It's only a small, like a grass, a small piece of grass. So you have to save me. I am completely surrendered to you," said Manavasi Ramaswamy Iyer. And Bhagavan smiled at him and told, "Okay, come. Today we have a feast at the ashram. You need to take part of the feast." And he was invited to the feast. And Manavasi Ramaswamy Iyer was confused. I just explained my situation. I told that I can't even have anything other than simple rasam sadam, rasam and rice. And Ramana is offering me a feast. How can I have a feast? He had these questions. But soon he remembered that he had told that he has completely surrendered to Bhagavan. And when he has surrendered, he has to listen to what Bhagavan says. How can you surrender and say, "I will not do this, I will not do that"? So he followed Bhagavan to the place where the food was being served at the Virupaksha cave. And the food was served and he had it. And he relished every variety of food that was offered. And he was very, very happy. But at the same time, he had a doubt that when he goes back home, he is surely going to have problem. He will not be able to sleep that whole night because of this feast that he has had at the presence of Ramana. But to his surprise, he slept like a little child on the lap of the mother. And the next day morning, he woke up without any pain, without any discomfort. And he came running to Bhagavan Ramana and he surrendered to him and said, "Ramana, you have saved me." And after that, he wrote a beautiful song which says, "Sharana Agati." I have completely surrendered. And then from then onwards, he was known dearly as the Sharanagati Tata. And this Sharanagati Tata, whose the bodily ailment was cured by this cook called Ramana, who gives us food. But by giving that food, he cures all the ailments. And when we are ready, he draws us and he completely swallows us. We have the story narrated by N.R. Krishnamurti Iyer. He was the one who used to chant Arunachala Aksharamanamalai as a japam. He used to chant it like 108 times. And then he narrates a story to the devotees saying that there was a man who was very, very hungry. And he was going in search of food. And he came to the door of a farmer. And the farmer told, "Oh, are you really hungry? You have to wait for another 6 months. I have just now sown all the seeds. Then it is going to take some more time so that I can water it and then I can give the manure so that it can grow into beautiful plants. And from that, I will harvest it and I will take out the grains and prepare food for you and I will give it to you. You have to wait for 6 months." And the devotee told, "Oh, I am hungry now. How can I wait for 6 months?" So he went on searching for one more person who could give him food. And then he went to one more farmer. He told, "All the crops in my field have already grown. I just have to harvest it, and I need to do some segregation process of dividing the skin and the grains and the waste I should remove. Then once it is ready, I will prepare the food and I will give it to you, said that farmer. And the devotee told, I can't wait even for 5 minutes. I'm hungry now, I'm very, very hungry. So he came running. He went in search of food everywhere. And there was a big hill, the Arunachala hill. And there was an old man standing. And the old man standing with one big banana leaf with all the food served on it with a huge heap of rice. And that old man invited, come, have the food now, it's ready. And as the devotee started approaching the food, each grain of the rice grew very, 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 very big. And that grain swallowed up the devotee. Such is the analogy given to us that he is offering us food which is ready, and when we approach closer and closer to that food itself eats us up. In the process of self-enquiry, Ramana is the great cook, and he has given us the ingredient, the process to make our mind, the ego, ready to be offered to the Guru. And how can we offer to the Guru? Ramana in Arunachala Stuti Panchakam, he says, Kim Swarupam Mityatma Darshane. Sorry. Ahamayam Aham Kuto Bhavati Chinvata. Sorry, that I'm chanting from the Upadesa Saram, but the similar verse which says, from where does the I arises? If one inquires, then the mind becomes pure, amaladi. It becomes amaladi, and this amaladi becomes ready to enter the heart. But our mind is still not ready because our mind is always associated with the thoughts. But Ramana says, with the question, who am I? With the question, from where is this I arising? With this question, if one inquires diligently, constantly, all the time, then the mind becomes pure and it becomes ready to be swallowed by the Supreme. And Ramana says, when the mind becomes pure and the pure I thought alone remains, the Supreme within the heart, the Ramana who is shining within the heart, the Shiva who is shining within the heart, he himself rises from within and he accepts that limited ego and makes it one with the heart. Just like how the river, which is in search of its source, the ocean, it reaches the ocean. The ocean completely embraces the river. And at that point of that embracel, we see that the river has completely lost its identity and it has become one with that ocean. And Ramana has given us the path and he's showing us the path and guiding every step so that our mind becomes pure and becomes ready to be offered to Parashiva. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya.
Namo Ramana. We will now have the chanting of Aksharamanamalai by Srimati Radha.
Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala. Teda தன்னல் திருவருள் நிதியக தியக்கம் தீர்த்தருள் அருணாச்சலாம் தைரியமோடும் உண்மையக நாடையான் தட்டழிந்தேன் அருள் அருணாச்சலாம் தொட்டருட்கைமை கட்டிடாயெனில் நட்டமாவேன் அருள் அருணாச்சலாம் தோடமில் நீயாக தோடொன்று என்றும் சந்தோடம் ஒன்றிட அருள் அருணாச்சலாம் நகைக்கிடமில்லை நின் நாடியனை அருள் நகையிட்டு பார்வி அருணாச்சலாம் நாடிலை நாடிட நானாயொன்றினி ஸ்தாணுவனின்றனை அருணாச்சலாம் நின்னெறி எரித்தென்னை நீராக்கிடும் முன் நின்னருள் மழை பொழி அருணாச்சலாம் நீரானரபுரி நிதங்களி மயமா நின்றிட நிலை அருள் அருணாச்சலாம் நுண்ணுரு உன்னையான் விண்ணுரு நன்னிட எண்ணலையிரும் என்றருணாச்சலாம் நூலறிவறியா பேதையன் எந்தன் மாலறிவர் தருள் அருணாச்சலாம் நெக்கு நெக்குருகியான் புக்கிட உன்னை புகழ் நெக்க நானின்றனை அருணாச்சலாம் நேசமில் எனக்கு உன் ஆசையை காட்டி நீ மோசம் செய்யாத அருள் அருணாச்சலாம் அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலாம் அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலாம் அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலாம் அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலா அருணாச்சல சிவ அருணாச்சலாம் அருணாச்சலம் வாழி அன்பர்களும் வாழி அக்ஷரமணமாலை வாழி. நமோ ரமணா.
Namo Ramana. By the grace of Bhagavan, we will conclude today's satsang with the Ashtottara puja to Bhagavan. The puja will be done by Sri Dileep Simha at his altar. The Ashtottaram will be chanted by Vaibhavji, Prarthana, Uma and Ashwini. And we will conclude with the Arati song. Om Namo Bhagavate Sri Ramanaya. Namo Ramana.
नमो रमण. भारद्वाज विश्वनाथ विरचितं श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तर शतनामावलिः अपार सच्चित् सुखवारिराशे यस्योर्मिमात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि. ॐ महासेन महोंसेन जाताय नमः. ॐ श्रीरमणाय नमः. ॐ गुरवे नमः. ॐ अखण्डसंविदाकाराय नमः. ॐ महौजसे नमः. ॐ कारणोद्भवाय नमः. ॐ जगद्धितावताराय नमः. ॐ श्रीभूमिनाथस्थलोस्थिताय नमः. ॐ पराशरकुलोत्तंसाय नमः. ॐ सुन्दरार्यतपःफलाय नमः. ॐ कमनीयसुचारित्राय नमः. ॐ सहायाम्बा सहायवते नमः. ॐ शोणाचलमहोलीनमानसाय नमः. ॐ स्वर्णहस्तकाय नमः. ॐ श्रीमद्वादशान्तमहास्थले लब्धविद्योदयाय नमः. ॐ महाशक्तिनिपातेन प्रबुद्धाय नमः. ॐ परमार्थविदे नमः. ॐ तीव्राय नमः. ॐ पितृपदान्वेषिणे नमः. ॐ इन्दुमौलिना पितृमते नमः. ॐ ऋतुरादेशतः शोणशैलं प्राप्ताय नमः। ॐ तपोमयाय नमः। ॐ उदासीनाय नमः। ॐ महायोगिने नमः। ॐ महोत्साहाय नमः। ॐ कुशाग्रदिये नमः। ॐ शान्तसङ्कल्पसंरम्भाय नमः। ॐ सुसन्दृशे नमः। ॐ सवित्रे नमः। ॐ स्थिराय नमः। ॐ तपक्षपितसर्वाङ्गाय नमः। ॐ फुल्लाम्बुजविलोचनाय नमः। ॐ चन्द्रिकासितहासश्रीमण्डिताननमण्डलाय नमः। ॐ च्यूतवाट्यां समासीनाय नमः। ॐ चूडिताखिलविभ्रमाय नमः। ॐ वेदवेदान्ततत्त्वज्ञाय नमः। ॐ चिन्मुद्रिणे नमः। ॐ त्रिगुणातीताय नमः। ॐ विरूपाक्षगुहावासाय नमः। ॐ विराजदशलाकृतये नमः। ॐ उद्दीप्तनयनाय नमः। ॐ पूर्णाय नमः। ॐ रचिताचलताण्डवाय नमः। ॐ गम्भीराय नमः। ॐ परमाचार्याय नमः। ॐ सुप्रसन्नाय नमः। ॐ अभयप्रदाय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणास्यनिभाय नमः। ॐ धीराय नमः। ॐ दक्षिणाभिमुखाय नमः। ॐ स्वराजे नमः। ॐ महर्षये नमः। ॐ भगवते नमः। ॐ ईड्याय नमः।
ॐ भूमविद्याविशारदाय नमः। ॐ विमलाय नमः। ॐ दीर्घदर्शिने नमः। ॐ आप्ताय नमः। ॐ ऋजुमार्गप्रदर्शकाय नमः। ॐ समदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्यदृशे नमः। ॐ सत्याय नमः। ॐ प्रशान्ताय नमः। ॐ अमितविक्रमाय नमः। ॐ सुकुमाराय नमः। ॐ सदानन्दाय नमः। ॐ मृदुभाषिणे नमः। ॐ दयार्णवाय नमः। ॐ श्रीशोणाचलहृद्भूतस्कन्दाश्रमनिकेतनाय नमः। ॐ सद्दर्शनोपदेष्ट्रे नमः। ॐ सद्भक्तवृन्दपरिवृताय नमः। ॐ गणेशमुनिभृङ्गेन सेविताङ्घ्रिसरोरुहाय नमः। ॐ गीतोपदेशसारादिग्रन्थसञ्चिन्नसंशयाय नमः। ॐ वर्णाश्रममतातीताय नमः। ॐ रसज्ञाय नमः। ॐ सौम्याय नमः। ॐ आत्मवते नमः। ॐ सर्वावनिमतस्थानाम् आराध्याय नमः। ॐ सर्वसद्गुणिने नमः। ॐ आत्मारामाय नमः। ॐ महाभागाय नमः। ॐ मातृमुक्तिविधायकाय नमः। ॐ विनताय नमः। ॐ विनुताय नमः। ॐ विप्राय नमः। ॐ मुनीन्द्राय नमः। ॐ पावकोज्ज्वलाय नमः। ॐ दर्शनादगसंहारिणे नमः। ॐ मौनेन स्वात्मबोधकाय नमः। ॐ हृच्चान्तिकरसान्निध्याय नमः। ॐ स्मरणात्बन्धमोचकाय नमः। ॐ अन्तस्तिमिरचण्डांशवे नमः। ॐ संसाराणवतारकाय नमः। ॐ शोणाद्रीशस्तुतिद्रष्टे नमः। ॐ हार्दविद्याप्रकाशकाय नमः। ॐ अविच्युतनिजप्रज्ञाय नमः। ॐ नैसर्गिकमहातपसे नमः। ॐ कमण्डलुधराय नमः। ॐ शुभ्रकौपीनवसनाय नमः। ॐ गुहाय नमः। ॐ दण्डपाणये नमः। ॐ कृपापूर्णाय नमः। ॐ भवरोगविषग्वराय नमः। ॐ स्कन्दाय नमः। ॐ देवतमाय नमः। ॐ अमर्त्याय नमः। ॐ सेनान्ये नमः। ॐ पुरुषोत्तमाय नमः।
ॐ श्रीरमण भगवते नमः। श्रीरमणाष्टोत्तरशतनामपूजां समर्पयामि। यस्थाणोररुणाचलस्य पदयोः स्मृत्या जनिं प्राप्य तद् दिव्यानुग्रहसुप्रवाहविवशस्तादात्म्यभावं गतः हृन्निष्ठस्वगभीरनित्यतपसा लोकान् पुनास्येकराट् तस्मै श्रीरमणाय ते नम इदं लोकोत्तरज्योतिषे। नमो 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 रमण सदाशिवप्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि दर्शन सुख मंगल मुख सकल जीवहित सम्मुख ब्रह्म संगिये सदा तुष्ट सदा हृष्ट सदा शिवानंद पुष्ट परम महर्षि ब्रह्मनिष्ठ समदर्शी नमो 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 रमण सदाशिवप्रभावरण नमो महर्षि नमो महर्षि ನಮ್ಮ ಮನವದೊಂದು ಕಾಡು ನೀನರಿತಿಹೆ ಅದರ ಜಾಡು ಹಿತವನರಿತು ನೀಡುತ್ತೆಮ್ಮ ಕೊರೆಯ ತಣಿಸಲೈ ಬೇಡಲೆಂದು ಬಂದ ನಾವು ನೋಡಿಯೇ ತಣಿವೆವಯ್ಯ ಮೋಡಿಗಾರನೇ ಹಿತವ ನುಡಿದು ಪೊರೆ ನಮ್ಮನು ಬ್ರಹ್ಮ ಸಂಘಿಯೇ ನಮೋ 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 ರಮಣ ಸದಾಶಿವ ಪ್ರಭಾವರಣ ನಮೋ महर्षि नमो महर्षि। बोलो भगवान श्री रमण महर्षि की जय।